All right.
There it is, man.
What's going on?
Man, not a whole lot. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear, man.
Making it through everything.
Making it.
Solid gold.
I love that stupid song. It makes me happy. Everything on the um, Detroit Rock City soundtrack makes me happy.
Oh, yeah, man.
So awesome, man. I'm still mad at that movie though, man, because I didn't know who Melanie Linsky was before that movie, and knowing who Melanie Linsky is, my life is very
Mm-hmm.
different before and after finding that out.
That's my whole game plan up.
God, freaking, I can't think about anything now except for Jam throwing that pin in her face. He's so awesome. I can't believe. I wish that guy was in more stuff, man. I like that dude.
Heck yeah, man.
It was Jam and Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen.
Yep. Yep. Uh, he was the kid in that. What the heck was that Disney movie back in the day? Jungle to Jungle or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh God, that's a. If you're in a mood for old Siskel and Ebert reviews, man, check out Roger's review for that one, man. He blades the crap out of that movie, man. It's just
shit. Pure shit.
it's awesome. Roger's
And all I
cruddy
needed some
reviews.
more Coke money.
Rogers, you know, Rogers like negative reviews are obviously the more famous ones, and him and Gene when they would argue, it's famous, but
Yeah.
his good stuff is the best stuff, but the bad ones are hilarious. It's like there was one time I was watching a best of show or worst of show. It's 2004, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do his voice, but it's just the way he like delivers stuff is like super deadpan and hilarious, and he's just going on about how god awful this movie is.
Yeah.
And he gets to the end and he's like number three whatever, number two whatever, and finally my pick for the worst movie of 2004. But why stop there? There's Bigelow, European Gigolo 2. but why stop there? It's like, oh no, it's the
Yeah.
worst movie ever made.
Yep.
Absolutely the worst movie of 2004. But why stop there?
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
I mean, that's one of those dudes that I mean, his opinion mattered because he definitely knew his stuff when it comes to that stuff.
The guy won a Pulitzer for film criticism, film journalism. It's pretty. That's all you got to know, man. That's just
Yeah.
awesome. I love that guy, man.
For somebody of that stature to still be like, no, I got to tell you how crappy this is.
Oh, dude, serious. Although I
I got to
can't let it
listen.
go. But it's interesting, man. I feel bad for those dudes because I mean the thing is with like being a movie critic, it really does. I think being a movie critic would be like being a DJ, man. I can see the appeal in one regard, but man, if you think about it just that much, I do not want to be locked in a booth listening to songs that someone's telling me I have to play. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
If you get to go and do your shift and play what you want to hear, that's awesome. But no one gets to do that. So
That's that hasn't happened in decades.
no one gets to do that. It doesn't happen like that. So that would suck. And then as far as movies go, man, movies that I like, I really like, but boy, there ain't very many of them. And that's
Mm.
with the limited number that I watch, man. If it's your job to review movies and you got to go watch everything, I'm like, God, no wonder they were so, um, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, man. If you, I guess the thing is, if you have to do it and it sucks, you might as well make a joke out of it. Maybe you can
Yeah.
get some enjoyment out of that. But
When they got to unleash on something, boy howdy,
it was
did
fun.
they?
Like whenever, for how much fun you can have watching them argue with each other, man. Good God, you're right. If they go double barreled on something and they both hate it, it's hilarious.
Yeah. And just watching those two guys kick it is part of the fun too. You know,
I
because
totally agree.
uh, I don't think that they always made the show on them. Well, we're going to argue about this one. When they agreed, they would full on agree,
I
and
think
when they
it's what
didn't, they didn't.
I think it's what made it work as opposed to, hey man, we're here at First Take. We embrace debate. That means you make shit up. it means that you feed Skip Bayless and you feed Shannon Sharp, and they, I love Shannon. I think Shannon Sharp is awesome, and the second he gets that show all to himself, the better off we'll all be. But his takes on Brady and his takes on the Clippers, and it's as fake as Bayless's stuff with LeBron. Excuse me, and you just have to have people take contrarian viewpoints. And you're right, that really was what made them stand out. Is you could believe what they said, what they told you, because they didn't. It wasn't always one thing or the other. I totally think you're right, and it's why any comparisons between Siskel and Ebert to the sports crap, I'm with you. It's totally different because with them it was sincere. Sometimes they really agreed, and sometimes they didn't. Well, sometimes they really agreed that they wish they had to see that. Whatever it was, like North, for example. They both. Good God. I'm glad Elijah Wood got his career back because holy crap, they were vicious to that movie, man. It's actually the as far as I know, Roger's book, the collection of his like best worst reviews. The hated this movie. That's literally what review that came from. Like, oh my God, the North review. It's awesome.
Man. And man, talk about a movie that had a hell of a cast. And I want to say that was Carl Reiner.
It's Rob Reiner, man.
Rob Reiner's what I meant.
Even worse. Yeah, man. It's like it's really weird, man. I think it might have been Roger Ebert that was saying this. I think that had made the great point that when you stop and think about how many hoops there are to jump through to get a movie made, and how any one part of it can just wreck the whole thing. Best cast, best director, best score, best whatever, but if the script sucks, you're dead. You can have the best script in the whole wide world, but if the director doesn't know how to bring it's like there's so many things that can go wrong. It's amazing that any good movies ever get made. It's just a lot of boxes to tick, and I'm like, that's a good point. Now I don't remember if it was him saying that or not, but whoever said it, I'm like, that's a really good point, man. Like, thank God when we get the ones that we actually like. I think maybe it's why I like writer-director stuff as much as I do, because it's just one more middleman out of the way. The idea of writing something and the idea of you being pleased with the director's vision of your script when you're wearing both hats, maybe the odds are a little bit better. I absolutely love this director. Fantastic. People are likely to say that when it's you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Look at this, guys. Look at him go.
Oh, my God. My word. That's directing.
I can feel his direction coming through the screen.
My good gracious. That is fabulous. Didn't you direct this movie? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Right on.
I'm good.
My masterpiece.
For real, man, we're back to Joe Black now.
Oh, yes.
Quiet, everyone. We're screening my masterpiece.
Shut up!
Don't laugh during the masterpiece.
Listen to my words.
For real. Squint against the grandeur.
Yes.
It'd be awesome to instruct people to squint against the grandeur from just watching your movie.
Yeah. I've heard that come up because talking about comedies that they've done, and that sometimes that's the kiss of death. It's like, man, this feels too good. We're having too much fun here.
Oh, man.
And sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. But I definitely think with North, that's probably one of the ones. It's like, and this has to work. And then it didn't.
It's one of those strange things, man. It's like North feels like the Yankees payroll in 2001. When you look at that team, it's like, how in the shit did they not win everything? Because I know we've talked about it, that for all the crap that Steinbrenner took and stuff like that, the great run in the late 90s for the Yankees had nothing to do with him. That was Gene Michael and, oh, crap. Gene Michael, and I cannot remember the other cat's name, and that sucks. But they had a couple of GMs during that era that Steinbrenner was kicked out of baseball. He was banned. He had nothing to do with day-to-day operations, had nothing to do with it. And they put the team together, and finally they got to keep some of their prospects, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada being chief among them. And they built a dynasty, and they were unreal, man. Those teams were great. And then Steinbrenner got back in there and spent all his money on Clemens and Musina, and it's like, oh boy, here we go.
I'm gonna sink this
I'm
bitch.
going to sink this bitch. But it's
I
fun
can't
that
wait.
I can still remember Olbermann whining about the 2001 when the Diamondbacks won, and it's just weird that the '01 team is so famous for losing the series to, oh man, Luis Gonzalez. No, they lost the series to Schilling and Johnson, who went buck wild crazy.
Mhm.
But dude, that's after they already got three, man.
Yeah.
They'd won 3 in 4 years. It's like that. Or, excuse me, they won 4 in 5 years and 3 in a row. I said it wrong. I'm sorry. 96 and then 98, 99, 2000. I'm pretty sure. I think that's right. I used to know all that stuff, but those were fun teams. 96 was a pain in the ass because, God, we were so good then, too. Man, Atlanta was so good that year. It's like, crap.
As much as the early World Series runs hurt, the '96 was the worst.
96 hurt because that would have been cool. Back to back would have been fun. But
Mhm.
also, it's a good lesson. I think it's a good lesson as an Atlanta fan that this town, as far as coverage, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen because as far that pitching staff should have been the only story in baseball. It's shocking what they wound up doing. That it's just it should not have been possible. But it's all good, man. It's all good. But Bob Costas, I'm still mad at. The team of the '90s has finally won their championship, and that was '95. You didn't realize the Yankees were about to win everything for the rest of the decade.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, that's it's fun. Those teams are fun. I wish that, and I know it's the Yankees, and God knows everyone knows everything about the Yankees, but that's a team that would be worth microscoping and actually really, especially the '96 team, because I mean, it was Bernie and Pettit and Jeter, just like, who the hell are these guys? But then you also had Brocious and Doc and Darrell and Tim Raines was on that team. Just like so many, like just perfect mix of the fresh from the farm crew that just came up, and then like just gritty vets. Just cool.
Yeah.
I still hate they beat us. I'm just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I still get Steve Carell over the fact they beat us, but the
Yeah.
'96 team was crazy good, man.
Some bangers,
Yeah, yeah, man.
man. One one thing that I watched this week that I just I'm not surprised how much I like it, but I am kind of surprised how much I like it. Is freaking Falcon and Winter Soldier is
Yeah.
uh, definitely picking up a lot of steam. You had the first episode, which was kind of like, all right, it's this is going to be what it is, and then you get to the second episode, it's like, oh man, how, because for the whole time that the Winter Soldier character has been introduced into the movies, I'm like, why does anybody like this character? And then you get to this show and you're kind of like, oh, now he's a character. And now, not only that, but Sam too. It's like, man, these guys are actually characters, and it's awesome that they're. Uh, I hate the word chemistry, but them hanging out and getting it on together is hilarious,
So
and
this is
it's going to
this
be
is
really
good.
good.
That's good to hear, man. Because being, excuse me, a longtime Captain America fan, um, Winter Soldier is not really my character, but it's one of those things where everybody and their first three cousins would tell you how great that book was.
Hmm.
Then you read it, and it was even better than you thought it was going to be. It really was an amazing run. So that's cool.
Hmm.
They bring the character to life, and everybody in the world has a huge like girl hard on for Sebastian Stan.
Hmm.
And girl hard on is, I'm trying to get that into vernacular because
Uh,
basically it covers everything. Anybody that had a thing for Sebastian Stan, I'm trying to include everybody. I want to be inclusive, so I hope "girl hard on" can be our new inclusive expression. But that's good. They're finally doing something with him. So that's cool.
yeah.
Um, Sam Wilson, the Falcon, and Anthony Mackie. These are three people that I really like. So that's cool. I'm glad to hear that it's coming along and it's looking good because I haven't tuned in yet. I probably won't. But that's cool that I'm glad it's going well because I'm with you. There's lots of cool stuff you can do with those characters. That's cool to tell that they are. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And it wasn't so much a surprise. I mean, they introduced the John. They I don't think they called him John Walker at the end of the first episode, but you had the whole new Captain America thing at the end, and everybody's like, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. And then uh, I saw the memes come out of how he looked like the old man from Up, which is spot on because that's what he looks like with that helmet smushed on his face. I think he was meant to look that way. He was meant to look kind of dumpy and like not really Captain, but I'm Captain. Kind of look to him, and he's hard and heavy in the second episode. And something I didn't know is that is Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's kid.
That's awesome.
Wyatt Russell is playing the character, and that's one of those families that you never know because you have to kind of do that research because I don't care to know, but when it comes to Kate Hudson and her brothers and sisters, and I never know which one Kurt and Goldie had together, so I had to kind of just Google search and be sure. Okay, it is their kid, and even more of a Disney connection coming from. I think that's the first time Kurt and Goldie met was on one of those movies.
Oh yeah, that's cool, man.
And Kurt has like a long history of being Walt's go-to teenage
guy.
actor.
Yeah, Walt's guy, man. Yeah, you're right. He was in a ton of them, man. My brother was over yesterday, and we were talking about Kurt Russell because we both dig him. We both just think he's quite underrated and real good. And he was reminding me he had just watched Death Proof recently, and it really is interesting. Like we've talked about it before, man. And this has gotten me in trouble, and so it won't in this conversation because I think we've had the conversation. I think we agree, and if we don't, it's fine anyway. But I have had conversations with people that eventually turn into, okay, Quentin Tarantino or Stanley Kubrick, and that conversation for me is it really depends on what you're asking me. Are you asking me who I think is better or who I like better? Because the answer is totally different. But the point that my brother and I always make about Tarantino, and I think you and I have on here as well, one of the coolest secret weapons about Quentin Tarantino is that I don't know if it's because he's done acting or he just likes movies to the point that guy loves actors, loves them. So he writes these interesting parts and then lets people add elements to them. That's amazing. And in like Samuel L. Jackson's case, it made his career. And it was someone like Kurt Russell. Man, Kurt Russell was already Kurt Russell, but it's real cool to give him that part and let him see what he can do with it. And he's all like crazy, Motorhead dude. And then we were discussing it, man. One of my favorite things in any movie ever is after it's so stupid, but after he tries to kill Zoe Bell, we were talking about that, about how amazing the stunt work in that movie really is, and it's such a good idea to let Zoe play the character, because then, I mean, you can clearly see her on the hood of the car, and it's her doing all of it, but not just her, the stunt woman, and not just her Zoe Bell, but as this character that we really like. So it just ratchets up the, oh my God, something could happen here. And that scene is absolutely bananas nuts. I cannot believe that she was able to do any of that, much less all of it. But I remember he jumps out of the car and starts talking all that shit, la-di-da. The girl shoots him instantly. I remember her shooting him in the arm. But him driving off and like bandaging his wound and stuff like that, he's such a like snivelly chicken shit, and it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. However, I had forgotten that after he'd given himself his do it pep talk to pour his whiskey on his arm, and he's all squealing and hollering because he's got his bullet wound that he's just like disinfected. But I'd completely forgot about him taking his sip, and then you get the rearview mirror shot of the white car coming out. You get the spit take, And so they smash his car up, and instantly Zoe Bell has that crowbar and is just like whacking him right where he just got shot. I completely forgot about how hilarious all this has been. I'm like, I gotta watch this movie again. It's been too long.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. like psychological tough guy Kurt Russell instantly turning into just the biggest. I love it. It's like we talk about with classic heel wrestling. It's what I love. It's why I can't wait to see, MJF go on a TV title run. Somebody else mentioned that. I want to say it was Marty because I listen to them all the time, but someone else finally said, or at least somebody I heard, there's no way it's too good of an idea to everybody that's not saying MJF should be the champ. I don't give a shit if you don't like Kenny Omega. Yeah, surely to God by now everyone realizes what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, surely y'all do realize that Kenny Omega Kota Ibushi is going to happen. That's where we're headed. That's what we're doing. So you need to forget about that title. Going anywhere for any significant going anywhere for any significant amount of time, it ain't gonna happen. And when MJF gets a title, he needs to have it for a significant amount of time. TV title is tailor made for him because then he gets to talk every week, and apparently that's what people like about him. I myself like his matches better. So, excuse me. Well, it's cool. I apologize, but it's exciting. But I think it was Marty and Sarah that were booking like one of the upcoming pay-per-views, and their point was you need to have Pinnacle Coronation Night, and you need to have FTR win the tag titles and MJF win the TV title on the same night. And I'm like, I love it. That's a great idea, man. But I know we talk about it all the time, but that show is the best, man, for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that it's not just negative horse shittery. They actually, I mean, if they don't like something, they'll tell you, and they'll tell you why, but it's not just the endless, oh man, let's flog this dead horse. And they're actually a little bit positive, and it's kind of fun to listen to them. And on top of that, they're both quite good. Like, I like their ideas for stuff. Marty's real good. I shouldn't say it that way, because Sarah's good too. It's just that a lot of the stuff that Sarah comes up with is stuff that I wish they would do. And then the stuff that Marty comes up with is the stuff they actually do. I guess that's what I mean when I say he's good. It's like, oh yeah, that's what they're going to go with. Excuse me. But Pinnacle Coronation Night, that's a really good idea. Real good idea. So I'm like, all right, get it on, man. Here we go.
See that happening real quick, like.
Right now.
Yeah, that's just
awesome. I also like the idea of, I still want the trios belts to be a thing. Now, I ain't saying that FTR and Shawn Spears have to have them. I'm just saying that trios titles are a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me. Dark Order should be the first trios champ, though, because the idea of the Dark Order freebirding the trios championships and you never know which three guys you're going to get is kind of awesome.
That's a good idea.
That would be cool, man.
At work. The AEW news, well, not really news, but I sat down and listened to the AEW podcast for the first time in a while, and they sit down and talk to Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
And it was just fun to hear her perspective after the Britt Baker match. And I want to say it was on that podcast that she made the comments like, I keep wanting to see this match where Britt Baker faced Britt Baker because everybody's going crazy about Britt Baker. You know, I was in that too.
Yeah, she tweeted that shit out. Dr. Britt is like, man, I'm fascinated to see this match where Britt Baker wrestled Britt Baker. And I'm like, I'm glad she said it because, well, the thing is, it's one of those classic matches where the person that wins, like, gets less out of it. It's like, please remember that the next fucking time you have a goddamn fit over your favorite doing a job. Just remember that because it does happen from time to time. It sure does. But this is not about who won. And for me, it's not about who bled more. It's real simple. Dr. Britt can go out and cut her fucking head off in every match she's in. But if she ain't got Rosa calling out the steps and leading, that match ain't what it was. It was great. It's totally awesome. Having somebody willing to do all that is very, very cool. But having somebody that can have you do it in an order that works that well, they both deserve credit for it. That's why I'm glad Thunder Rosa called it out because it's like, that was her match. Anyone that knows Britt hadn't been in the business long enough for it to be any other way. So anyhow, but I was glad. I thought that was pretty good snark, and I'm like, yeah, you tell him, Rosa.
Yeah, get on it. At the same time, I saw there was some type of tweet that Britt was sending to Mick Foley, and it's like, that's just downright rude.
That's her doing her MJF thing,
Yeah.
where you stay in character on Twitter and do your thing. And as far as, well, Mick was mad. Mick Foley, he replied to it. Mick Foley, he had some choice words for Britt Baker. Are those choice words? Thank you so much for letting me get involved in this, because that's exactly where Mick's going to go with it. That's totally going to be his attitude, is them picking up on it and giving him hell. They'll be like, yeah, I'll play along. Why not? Cool. This is up game, man. Let's do it. That's totally what he's doing, man. He's a good sport.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool.
Don't be. I'm still that guy sitting there. Don't be mean to Mick.
Yeah, Mick.
I like him.
Yeah, you know my thing with Foley, man, is if Cornette will ever take the blade to him, I'll be back on board. But it's just like, keep talking all that bullshit. No. I was watching this thing earlier, man. Somebody has done this. It's a guy that just does little, little like 20-minute documentaries on YouTube. They're real good. But he's got one called Paradigm Shift. It's about Moxley. I haven't watched it yet because he's not my guy, but at least it exists. It's cool. And then he's got one called Best Bout Machine, and it's Kenny Omega. And that one's real cool, man. But it's talking about, it's got footage of him wrestling the girl, which that match, Kenny Omega versus the little girl is very entertaining. I like it. But Kota Ibushi versus the Blow Up Doll is art. That thing is so fantastic. I haven't seen Kenny wrestle the Blow Up Doll. Apparently he did, if Cornette's to be believed. I haven't seen it, but I did see Ibushi, and it's awesome. That match is incredible. But Kenny and the girl, it's fun, man. And the main point, like you and I have talked about many times, it's one of the things that I know, one that you and I have in particular in common, is Will Ospreay and Ricochet. Which is, I don't mean to be a jerk about that. Ospreay and Ricochet for me is one guy that I really, really like, and one guy I'm not as wild about. I don't hate Ospreay. It's just not my thing. Ricochet I love. I think he's awesome. By the way, remind me, we'll bring that up again in just a second. But when you watch the opening of that match, that routine they do, that thing that everybody keeps trying to do, and I mean, we want to talk all this shit about how, oh man, the guys in AEW are so bad and sloppy. Oh man, it's just no good. If the goal is to look like Ricochet and Ospreay, you're gonna look like shit. You know, I might want to take that out of the old repertoire, because they are so good and like so close. It's just like, how did they ever do this? Because there's no way either one of them's old enough to have worked anybody enough times to be able to do this, much less each other. So it's fantastic. But the main thing about Ospreay Ricochet is the crowd. Do the people in the audience lose their fucking minds? Yes. Are they in Japan? Yes. Do Japanese crowds do that at any point in matches that don't have the main event guys, particularly when you're entering the final stanza? They'll get up and go crazy then. That's the beginning of that match. And they're like jumping. It's unbelievable. It's such a cool thing. And I'm like, man, if the people in the audience liked it that much, all the rest of us can just shut the fuck up, can't we?
Yeah.
It's the same thing when Kenny wrestles the girl. Like, it's just one of my favorite things in it, man. But when he finally gets a hold of her and he starts gorilla pressing this like 9-year-old kid in the audience, they're all like, oh no, oh God, don't do it. And then she gets away and it's all good. But the best part about Kenny press slamming the kid, and it's good, the camera work is good, but you get this one shot of Kenny doing the thing, and you see the kid, she's having a blast, and she can't, like, she like, can't not smile and laugh, and I'm like, that's pretty awesome. But anyway, that's my main thing, is as long as the people in the building like it, what do you care? And that goes all the way up, too. That's for things like PWG, for, I think Over the Top is the one in England that has a lot of, or maybe might be the UK, because some of their shows might be Scotland too. I don't want to leave anybody out. But those are cool. Some of those shows are real cool. There's some Walter on there, which I can't get enough Walter, man. Zack Sabre, who's another guy that I'm not wild about. But there was an altercation between, I said that wrong. Altercation makes it sound like a shoot. It wasn't. This was just a tete-a-tete in a match. And So Zack Sabre, you've seen him. He's not a huge guy. It's why I think that a lot of his stuff, like with the joint manipulation and the it's why it's so smart, man. It's like, oh, for Pete's sake, it just shot it on the head, man. It's why, like jujitsu, when you watch MMA, it's why it's such a big deal, because it don't matter, man. Dude, it doesn't matter how much bigger the dude is than you, man. If you can separate his hip, he ain't that tall anymore, is he? So what they do with Sabre is quite smart in a lot of cases. So he's out there with Walter, and instead of going for an ankle or a wrist or some type of joint, he starts chopping him. So Sabre chops him a couple of times, and then Walter does the Walter thing. And when he does it, man, it's not that Sabre jumps out of the ring. It's a very realistic sell, but man, he puts some stink on it too, and it looks great. It looks so good. It's exactly the way, with that size discrepancy, it's exactly the way you'd want to see that bump taken. And it's like, I'm not a huge Sabre guy, but I like to give him credit for that, because he made that shit look good, man. It's everything Walter does makes me make that face. Like, oh god, all of his stuff looks like it hurts.
Yeah. I guess when it comes to the Kenny Omega blow-up doll match, that I've never understood the criticism about is that's always been the compliment of any good wrestler is like, hey, go out and have a match with a broomstick.
Yep.
And then somebody did it, and now there's a problem with it.
Yeah, seriously, it's like, all right then, but it's the same thing you and I talk about, and boy, this will lead into something I think is quite funny. Now, I don't know if we discussed the leg slap. You can't slap your thigh anymore on kicks.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's horse shit. Not that it's a rule. Nobody in WWE gives a good goddamn. They don't care. It's just a good way to get shit started.
Mm-hmm.
If you told me it was in-house AEW, I'd believe you, because who's selling the T-shirt that says no leg slapping? So, okay. But at the same time, it's funnier if you pretend it really is a rule. WWE hates that shit. We're not having thigh slaps to make the kicks sound like they're making contact. Then you watch Braun Strowman do his little run around the ring with the freaking choo-choo whistle. And I'm God. There is no way that shit's real. It's funny if you pretend it's real. So if it's entertaining to you to be like, okay, don't slap your thigh, but woo-woo, okay, that's funny. Okay, I'll play along just because it's hilarious. Like, okay, we don't want synthetic sound effects from slapping the thigh. We want real sound effects, so now they just play like the sound of landmines going off when guys kick each other.
Yeah.
You can't do it from inside the ring. It's got to be over the PA. It'd be awesome if that's what Vince was mad about.
We're going to get Braun over. God damn it.
Well, I'll tell you what. You talk about, and that's something that you and I talked about a long time ago. And people, I think a lot of people knew it. Apparently, you and I are the people that talked about it. But what did we say? We knew it at the time. The only reason y'all like this guy is because he's beating up Roman Reigns. And by beating up Roman Reigns, I mean working with Roman Reigns. Wait till you see this numpty try to have a fucking match with somebody else. And I'm hoping, going back to Dr. Britt and Thunder Rosa, I'm hoping that does not happen with Britt. Now, whoever she wrestles with next, it will not be as good as the Thunder Rosa match. And I don't think doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
if you're
that's
not
a tall order.
If you're not working with her, of course it's not going to be as good. So I'm hoping it's good, just in a different way. If Britt's on lead, especially, that's cool. But same thing, Braun and Roman, man, you and I knew it, because the thing about, it's very strange. I don't know why I've had a hard time getting people to buy into this. There's a thing about Roman Reigns that people don't seem to want to acknowledge. It's this. He's a good-looking guy, man. Roman's a pretty boy. Oh, Roman Reigns, such a pretty boy. Roman Reigns is a tough fucking dude. A tough dude. Would you like me to give you an example of what I'm talking about? Okay. Dean Ambrose, Mr. Tough Guy, Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose, he's crazy. Yeah, he got suplexed a couple of times by Brock Lesnar, and he's still fucking crying about it, isn't he? Meanwhile, Brock and Roman got out there and absolutely potatoed the shit out of each other before Seth ran down and snaked them both at the belt. But like you and I talked about, it's a great moment. Rollins getting the title is cool. Everybody's into that, man. But the match before Rollins came out is good. That shit was good. And it's all like, yeah, man, you get out there and get physical with Brock. Yeah, you a tough motherfucker if you're cool with going out there and go. Like we've talked about before, one of my favorite moments, it's mean, and I shouldn't like it as much as I do, but when frickin' Braun Strowman knees Brock in the face, and Brock hits him one time from about this far away, and that big man goes down to his knee and just about threw up. You can see it. I mean, you can see it. I mean, Brock Lesnar hits that guy from about 3 inches away and absolutely scrambles his eggs, man. It's like, oh my God. So him and Roman going out there and kind of jocking it up a bit and throwing each other around. It's like, yeah, that guy. That guy's tough, man. He's a tough guy. And I love Roman. That's cool, man.
Yeah, man. Getting it on. And that's another thing of going into Mania, and you have the Roman, Edge, and now it looks like it's going to be Roman, Edge, and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
I'm down with it. I think it's going to be a good one.
I don't know what the point is, man. I don't get the point. I guess my thing with Bryan Danielson, I just don't understand is, do y'all not see these? I mean, where's the Wolf? This motherfucker says he's going to retire every 6 minutes. I don't see no Wolf, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not a huge Bryan Danielson guy anyway, and it sucks. I hate to be that way because there were moments with the American Dragon that were awesome. However, my separation, if you will, with Bryan Danielson came when he was still Bryan Danielson. When he got the Ring of Honor, he got both titles. Look, man, I think Darby Allin's awesome. I understand why people like him so much, and he's very unique, and I get it. But I think Darby Allin's a perfect example of why Jeff Hardy was a better tag team wrestler. Because when your gimmick is to go out and get your ass killed for 13 minutes and then roll people up and win, that shit gets boring. I mean, the guy generates no offense ever, and he's just, he's so tough, he never dies. It's boring. I hate that shit. Boring as hell. That's my thing with Darby Allin. On that same token, God, why did I even bring that up? Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson goes way too far the other way. Because Bryan Danielson is this undersized, skinny dude who is just, I mean, you can set his ass on fire, and he's still like, hey, man, here I am. And it's like, please balance this shit out, because I don't like the scrub that gets the horse shit win, and I got no use for Superman. I hate that stuff, man. And that was his Ring of Honor shit when they gave him both titles. He was Mr. Untouchable Badass, man. And I'm like, I know that you wish you were Samoa Joe, but you're not. You can't pull that shit off. Samoa Joe could do it. And, oh, man, I forgot his, I got Roderick Strong stuck in my head, and that's not who it is. It's, for Pete's sake, he does commentary on the English guy does commentary on NXT.
Nigel.
Nigel McGuinness. Thank you. Nigel McGuinness, you could believe it, because he was a pretty big dude. Nigel's strange. When you go back and look at McGuinness when he was wrestling, it's hard to believe he's the same guy. But it's cool. He was a pro wrestler, man. You had the bulk, and it was all good. And now that he's not doing that anymore, he changed his diet up, changed his routine up, so he's a lot smaller now than he was then. Those guys, you can believe it. And CM Punk, AJ Styles, just that's nice classic scrappy stuff. But man, you want to be little Mr. Terminator, man. If you look like Samoa Joe, you can pull it off. If you like Bryan Danielson, you need to switch your shit up, man. That stuff, anyway. I am always reminded, as you know, of WrestleMania 20, because Shawn Michaels' involvement in Triple H versus Chris Benoit, who were my two favorite guys at the time, and I wanted that to be a one-on-one so bad, and it wasn't, and I'm still mad about it. And what did Shawn Michaels contribute? Nothing. He got his ass on his shoulders because the people weren't cheering for him, and he tried to cut his head off. That's it. That's literally all he did. And it
started a bad trend.
It did. That's the whole point.
3 ways.
Shawn Michaels shit his pants when Vince suggested making it a 3-way match for the world title, right up until that third man was him. Then it was okay. Awful stuff. But I don't know. I guess they're just trying to make it up to Bryan Danielson because they shit on him for so long. And, man, he's got the history with Roman Reigns. Because remember when Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble and it should have been Bryan Danielson? Yes, we remember. Y'all remember? Y'all the ones that booked that, right? I mean, why are you trying to act like – I just don't get it. and maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll work. Maybe how many matches has Edge had since he's come back? Maybe that's what it's about. Is
I
that,
think that's part of it.
I can dig that.
And it's just talk about a WrestleMania where there's just really not much that I want to see.
Yeah, I can dig it.
This is the one that I'm going, okay, fine, I'll check it out. But
Yeah.
I don't plan on doing it because up until tonight when I tried to do it again, you still can't get Peacock on the Roku. I don't know if there's a new version of the Roku I have to get it, but
The
I don't plan. Yeah, I don't plan on doing that. But I even got an email saying, "Man, it's available. Go download it." I can get a Peacock screensaver. That's on Peacock. Anything on the Roku app as of right now.
According to everybody talking about it, even if you've got it, there ain't shit on it.
Yeah.
I can't believe that Peacock is editing WWE content. It's like, you can't believe that? Really? What country do you live in? That's a little strange. It's weird to me that people are so damn offended over, you gotta have Stone Cold Steve Austin promos. Okay, you're cool with history books being completely inaccurate, but by God, don't change the Attitude Era.
You mean Peacock's doing what the WWE should have done?
Well, my thing that I think is funny about that is, hey man, Peacock, it's hands off, man. You knew what you were buying. They knew what they were buying. No, WWE knew what they were selling.
Mm-hmm.
If I bought the Mona Lisa tomorrow and set the fucking thing on fire, what you gonna do about it? It's mine. That's Peacock. Vince cashed the check, didn't he? And get it whatever the fuck they want to. Does it suck? Yeah, but that's how it fucking works. If it was precious to Vince, he should have kept the shit, but it wasn't. There you go. It's the same thing you and I've talked about forever about, well, Vince will buy AEW and he'll buy Ring of Honor. It's like Kerry Silkin said no fucking way. And then he sold it to I forgot who bought it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But whoever owns Ring of Honor now, I can't believe I forgot. Sinclair. Sorry, I always want to say Clear Channel. I don't know why, but Sinclair. But they haven't wanted to sell it either, so that's cool. Another conversation. You and I have talked about it many times. It was all about, on this day, 30 years ago, Vince McMahon bought WCW. And the comments are all, and in 10 years, this story will be about AEW. And I'm like, only if there's an AOL Time Warner that swoops in and buys the cons out the exact same way that AOL Time Warner did Ted. Because people are weird about that. Y'all think Ted Turner sold WCW because he was destitute? Do you have any fucking idea how much? Remember the character that Vince made about Ted Turner. It was Billionaire Ted, wasn't it? All right, I want y'all to think about Vince McMahon, Mr. Moneybags, who's like, oh man, no chance in hell, and here comes the money, and oh yeah, Vince, oh my God, the omnipotent Jesus Christ of wrestling that is Vince McMahon, making a character called Billionaire Ted, trying to make the rich guy the bad guy. What does that tell you about Ted Turner's money? And also, he only did that shit because that was the name people knew. Ted Turner didn't know. Ted Turner sold that to Time Warner, I think, in the 90s, like the mid-90s, like right before the big kickoff when everything became huge. He didn't even own that shit anymore. Because if he had, he never would have sold it. It's the same. How in the world do you guys think, oh man, Vince crushed Ted Turner, but he can't put Dixie fucking Carter out of business?
Yeah.
Listen, if you're a millionaire and you've got to play pretty and you want to keep it, it's yours for good. It's the same thing with AEW. It's like, that's just not going to be as easy as y'all think it is because, again, to our point about MLW earlier, if TNT decided tomorrow they're not interested in AEW anymore, how long before that shit's on YouTube? It's already on YouTube. They've already got a show. They've already got 2 shows now. Dude, that's exactly what they would do. And I love it because it's something we've talked about forever. And the NWA was kicking ass with that. But Billy loves the studio wrestling show. And without the audience, it's not the same. So he didn't want to do it anymore. Well, AEW will not have such qualms should it come to that. And also, that's the thing, man. Just remember, just keep in mind how much money TNT gave those guys for that show. That buys you an awful lot of, rental space to do, or a television studio to do a YouTube show. It's just not, it's not going anywhere. You gotta, You got to relax. I don't know why everybody wants the sell of WCW and fast forward, man. This isn't Paulie Dangerously, man. Paulie bankrupted ECW. This is not who you're dealing with here. Anyway, I got way sidetracked. But MLW being on YouTube now rules. That mess is so cool. I love it, man, because it's fun to check in with Leo, because I love Leo Rush. The one that Corny always goes on and on and on about, Jacob Patu. Corny's not right about everything. Corny's not right about a lot of things, but boy, he's right about Jacob Patu, man. That guy is a blast. It's like, because I was looking at it when I first saw him, I was like, okay, it's got to be related to Umaga, because that's exactly what his gear looks like. And I looked it up, and I forgot. I totally forgot, man, because I looked it up. It seems like it's his, God darn it, it seems like maybe it's his uncle. Oh man, I can't believe that I forgot that already, man. Because I looked all that mess up, and it's big. That family tree, it just goes on forever, and it's like, I think I follow. I think I follow.
Yeah, it's it sounds dismissive to say it. Anytime you see somebody show it, like, they're probably related.
It's true. Yeah, the dynasty's a real thing, man. I mean, he's definitely in there. It's I just, like I said, once I saw like the gear and whatnot, it's like that's the gimmick he's going for. And he cuts his own promos, but it's like, yeah, man, that's cool. We talked to Umaga, was great, so it's nice to see him again. But he does. I mean, he's this. I don't think he weighs 400. He might though. He's a big kid, man. 350. I mean, he's a big dude. But he does freaking Chris Daniels' best moonsault ever. 300-pound guy going bloop bloop bloop. It's like, come on, man. Did I just see that? Good Lord, it was awesome, man.
Yeah.
But that show's cool, and basically anybody that runs their Fed on YouTube, I'm immediately in favor of. I just think that's great because again, with the AEW is supposed to be a sports-based product. Well, if they ever get off TNT, you'll see exactly what they wanted to do. Because I don't know why it's hard for people to understand that TNT puts that much skin in the game, they get say. It's like if Peacock decides they want to buy the WWE network. They get to chop the shit any way they want to. So when you go to Tony Khan and you say, that doesn't look enough like WWE to do more WWE shit. If you want to know where all the backstage crap came from, that's it. And you go to YouTube, you ain't got to do that anymore. If they do go to YouTube and keep up with all that being the elite horse shit, then you can blame them for it because it'll be their fault. It'll be their fault then.
Yeah. Get behind that. But I think that is one of it's not a rumor anybody hasn't said before, but just the whole Peacock. And I was surprised that some of the people that I know that had no idea that was going on. And I was telling them, like, the network's going away right now, huh?
Do what? Do what?
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 What? And there may still be.
Sorry, man.
There may still be a free version of it that has WWE stuff on it to still kind of have it out there, but I think it's just kind of sowing the seeds for NBC to buy the company outright.
I think
probably
so too.
Sooner rather than later.
I think so too, and I'll just go ahead and tell you on behalf of me and every other AEW person, man, WWE gets bought the fuck up before AEW was. Boy, you ain't heard no shit talking yet. It's gonna get UGLY if Vince sells out. But it's funny too. It's more like, well, Vince sells the company maybe after he's dead. Maybe once Vince is dead, it's like he's ready to go. I tell you who else is ready to go. You got that bullshit Miz and Maurice cover band on TNT now with, oh man, Roads to the Top. Cody's about ready to hang them up, y'all. Yeah. He ain't going to do this shit till he's 60. It's more that like, well, they got to put the TNT, they got to put the AEW championship on Cody. He's the only mainstream star they've got. Cody's got to be their champ. He's got to be the champion, Cody. Cody already put that stipulation in his contract that he can't challenge for the title. Now, I know y'all thought that was bullshit, and you're too pig-headed to admit that. He fucking got you, because he meant that shit, and there's that. There it is. Why? Because he ain't going to be around that long. Also, there's two reasons. One, I don't think he wants to be around that long. Making money off of wrestling forever is great, but You got to remember he lived with this old man. He knows his old man made his money in booking. He was champion of the world 3 times over, but it was when he had the book that he made the money.
Yeah.
But the other reason is simple. Man, Cody Rhodes is Cody Rhodes. He's a fine performer, and it's all good. But you in the same company with Kenny Omega, you ain't gonna have the title over that guy. It's like, dude, I don't care if people don't. If you don't dig Kenny Omega, I understand. But he is the fucking goods. The guy is great. He had that horse shit squash match a week ago, and it's like, dude, this is better than half the shit anybody else can come up with on their best fucking day. It's unbelievable, man. And also, I can't wait. Got my fingers crossed that at some point, whenever Belt Collector Kenny has all of his shit and all that stuff, and Lottie died, he does the open challenge. You can't give me Kenny. You can't give me Kenny Omega and Ray Phoenix often enough. You put those two guys together, I'm there. Because Ray Phoenix is... I think Ray Phoenix is probably the best performer on that roster. I mean, that guy is spectacular. So I don't know if I would stick by. I'm pretty sure I would stick by that, man. It's like WWE best in-ring performer in WWE is Cesaro, man, because he's like short list on the planet. The guy is fucking amazing, and he and Rollins are going at it at WrestleMania.
That's another one to kind of pencil in. So I'll show up for that.
Yeah, Banks and Belair and Cesaro and Rollins, like, that's good shit, y'all. And everything else, hey, whatever you want to do is cool, man. But those two, I'm like, I was just reading the other day that it was that video of Cesaro giving him the big swing in the locker room, and I'm like, man, Seth, I know the man's strong, but ain't no man underneath you there. It's like, that's cool. It's like, man, the little Seth Rollins cojones, man.
Yeah, he's strong.
I got a kid at home, but I don't care. You swing me into that damn locker, I don't give a shit. It's his Ron Burgundy moment. I'll eat the entire hunk of shit. I don't care.
I don't care.
For real. That's what Rollins was thinking as he's swinging around.
I got a kid at home. I'm glad to be out of the house.
Dude, on the same subject, man. I have heard, and this is just rumor, or not rumors, just stuff that I've heard because I haven't seen it. But I have heard that Seth Rollins' character work lately has been just fantastic. Like, he's either really, really good or really, really hilarious, or just whatever he's trying to do, he's really good at it. And the one thing I did see was this was Thunderdome stuff where Cesaro was giving him the big swing, and he held his arm straight out so his jacket flew off. That shit cracked me up. That was awesome. I'm like, I don't know how he came up with that, but I'm so glad it worked because it just was such a cool visual. I'm like, oh God, it was just great, man. I'm like, dude, I love this. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's good. How's nobody thought to do that?
Yeah, dude, seriously. I'm like, oh my God. It's just like, I think it'll work. I think it'll work. And then it did. It's like, God damn, that's cool. It's so good, man.
Wear one a size bigger, so it really just kind of flings off.
Dude, yeah, so literally, like, the second swing around is out in the crowd, man. Like, God, that was cool, man. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to do there's the 2 matches at WrestleMania that sound real good. The rest of the stuff, I'm not sure what else they got going on, but
I don't think they know.
Yeah. It's weird. People are making a huge deal about that. Like, man, WrestleMania is 3 weeks away and the card's not finalized. I'm like, okay, it's just
where have y'all been for the past couple of them?
Exactly, man. And it's one of those things where, again, like we're talking about with Cody having the stipulation that he can't challenge for the title. The crescendo of Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi. It's night and day, man. That AEW shit, they do it differently. Kenny Omega definitely does it differently, man. That guy books long term. And it's cool because the whole point is, especially with social media, you put things out there and you can cultivate them and you can build them up and you can keep talking about it. And if contracts never materialize, if you can't make it happen, so what? It was still fun to prognosticate. But if you do pull it off, I mean, are you kidding me, dude? It's like if you could get AJ Styles and I won't say Ibushi, but if you could get a match between the WWE champion and the New Japan champion, that shit would be awesome. But it goes back to, I wear this point out, but it's something we've talked about forever. It's the greatest ace that AEW has always had in the hole. It's like none of this shit is etched in stone. WWE doesn't do this stuff because they don't want to. That's it. That's the only reason they don't do it. There's no rule. There's no law. There's none of that junk. Vince just don't want to do it. You can't do anything he can't do, so do the stuff he won't. And that's exactly what it looks like they're doing, and it's super exciting. And also, I'm looking forward. I'm hoping that somewhere along the way on the Belt Collector tour that Kenny's going to try and play it off like it was this whole swerve thing. And the whole idea wasn't to be the Belt Collector. It's for me and my main man to be the Belt Collectors. And then you wind up with he and Ibushi back as the Golden Lovers. Ultimately, to challenge the Young Bucks. And I think the clue there is that the Young Bucks keep finishing matches with that. I always forget the name of it when Ibushi does it. But basically, Ibushi's finish is like that wrist control B-trigger, where he just has both hands and they're on their knees and he pulls them straight in and knees them right in the face and looks like it just knocks their nose out their butthole.
Yeah.
What the Golden Lovers would do was that move, but on each side, like a stereo style. And the Young Bucks have been winning matches like that lately. And I'm like, man, if that's not a clue that we're going to get a rematch of Golden Lovers Young Bucks, hey, man, I hope it's a clue at the very least. But little stuff like that is cool. I love it. I think it's neat. But it's just one of those things that it's like a movie that you have to have. It has to have been out 10 years, and then people like 2001. 2001 was out for a long fucking time for people who were like, good God, did you see this shit from 68? Oh my God. I think that's what Kenny's doing. I think it's such long-term stuff. It's got to happen and then be over. And then you look back and it's like, when did he start this thing with Ibushi? Because the story literally is that he was doing independence in Canada, got a tape from a promotion called DDT, watched this kid named Ibushi, got in touch with him, and it's like, hey, I'm moving to Japan and I'm going to work with that company. I think we should work together. It could be a real good thing. And Ibushi's like, cool, let's do it. And they work together, and it's like, oh yeah. And it's like, okay, so did you literally form this tag team thinking one day I'm going to start my own company and we're going to merge the titles? Or did it just happen to work? Because either way, what an awesome story.
Yeah.
That's cool. And even if it's a complete lie, you can just lie about it and be like, man, the first time I saw the guy, I was like, well, that's the second best wrestler in the world. That's whose wagon I got to hitch my star to, and we'll take this fucking thing over, and look at us now. And that's cool, man. I mean, that's just totally awesome. And DDT, it's not like they're not going to give you, they'll give you the video. Why not? They're cool. Yeah, sure, here you go.
Yeah, how about it?
Dude, the fact that DDT produced the current IWGP champion, that's great for them, man. They ain't got no problem with you talking about it. It's good.
Yeah. Man, I guess that's the other big story that was going around this week. But did you have any thoughts on where Andrade might end up?
Honestly, I'm really, really glad that he got his release, because he's too good to just sit around.
Yeah.
We can start with like the most basic stuff. If Andrade goes to AEW, I would love it, because I like the idea of LAX. You know, Inner Circle is going to collapse and all that good stuff. But if you've got him and Zelina and Santana and Ortiz and Danny Limelight, that's a good group, and I like that. I'm cool with that. And as far as there's too many factions in AEW, they have taken that page out of the New Japan playbook. Damn near everybody's in a faction. This is just what they're going to do. So I don't think there's too many, and that's just what they're going to do. So if he goes to AEW, that's great. Let me start over. Let me restart. Wherever he goes, I hope they go together, because they were such a good tandem. That was such a good pairing that wherever he wants to go, I hope she wants to go too, and that would be awesome. So AEW would be great. Ring of Honor, because he and Roosh are so tight, man. That would be awesome, because then you can get Ingobernables going again. That gives you, it's weird, man. It's because it's not that Ring of Honor and New Japan don't work together. AEW is going to, there's a lot of good crossover potential, and if you want to do Ingobernables, that's it. As far as I know, man, once the Marty Skrull deal just like disintegrated,
Yeah.
It's not that Roosh got that deal, but he's got a pretty good deal as far as I know, and he is good. That guy is freaking awesome. So if you want to put them back together, totally get it. Again, I just hope Zelina goes with him.
Mhm.
If he goes to New Japan, and this is my other big thing, is considering who Zelina's husband is. Because selfishly, if Aleister Black, Tommy End, leaves WWE, it's kind of the same thing. I really don't care where he goes, but it's a little different from Andrade in this sense. Andrade, literally, wherever he goes, I hope he does great, and I'll be happy for him, and I'll have a good time watching him. If it's MLW, you get to watch him on YouTube, and that'll be great.
Yeah.
But if he goes to New Japan, Alistair going anywhere would be fine, but I would love. I guess that's the difference. Is Andrade is wherever, and with Tommy End, I have a preference. Oh my God, I would love to see him in New Japan. The only problem is if he goes to New Japan, I'm afraid that him and Shibata will cross paths, and that would scare me because those guys really. It's like O'Reilly and Cole fighting every week, man. Those guys, I would be nervous. But I guess the short answer, now that I've made it this long, is I'm just glad he's out because he's great, and they weren't going to do nothing with him, so cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of Kevin Owens, where Kevin Owens is who I wanted to go to AEW, but I don't think he wanted to go.
Mhm.
Andrade wanted to go, so this is awesome. The fact that Kevin Owens wanted to stay, I'm glad he got a nice contract and got to stay. Whatever people want to do is totally cool. And if Andrade, and that's something interesting about the Andrade story, and this is just Marty and Sarah's speculation, haven't heard it anywhere else. But again, so Marty's good, and a lot of the stuff he comes up with, I'm like, he might be right. Because I've seen this stupid little Charlotte is all elite. Charlotte Flair's going to go to AEW, and I don't believe that for 1 second either, because WWE's women's division is still the division. Oh, that's another one is Rhea and Asuka.
Okay.
I wish that it could have had what we talked about. I wish that this was when instead of giving that damn belt to Charlotte, I wish they'd given it to Asuka. And then
Yeah.
Asuka throws it down. Still can't beat me. Ain't no thing. I'm unbeatable. I am Miss NXT, and I got no time for it. So then you go back up to the main roster, become Raw champ, and now Rhea is like, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. I'm going to beat you, damn it, because no one's done it. Anyway,
Yeah.
if that got messed up because of the pandemic or whatever reason, so what? At least they're going to have a match, and that's cool. Anyway, I got way sidetracked. I don't think that Charlotte is leaving WWE, but Marty's speculation was I don't think that it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility that Charlotte would go to Vince's office and close the door behind her and look across the desk and say, there ain't going to be no 90 days on my husband or my boyfriend or whatever.
Mhm.
You're going to release him because he asked you to. And there's not going to be 90 days because if there is 90 days, we're going to have a problem. To which Vince would be like, no problem, we good. That makes sense.
That's all.
That totally makes sense to me. I'm like, you know what? I haven't heard anything like that, but it would not surprise me because
Yeah.
Charlotte's got some stroke. Her name is Flair. She damn sure knows what stroke in the business means. So it's all like, I ain't saying I'm leaving. I'm just saying that let's not have that conversation. And if you
Yeah.
don't do A and you don't do B, we might have to have that conversation. And rather than even worry about it, rather than even worry about it, yeah, no, never mind. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
real cool. It's good for everybody, man.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, ultimately, going back to your question, I love that guy. So wherever he winds up, I'm excited to see wherever he goes. And part of me is very, very selfish because I do love the idea about, LAX.
Mhm.
But hey, man, if he wants to do Los Angeles, let's understand that too. Whatever he does, I'll be glad to see him back because that he's good, man.
Heck yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's about all I know of what's been going on.
Man, I'm with you. I haven't done.
About what's going on.
I ain't done much of nothing, man. I finished Schitt's Creek. I told you, I finished Schitt's
Yeah.
Creek, and then I stumbled over to BoJack Horseman because my main thing with BoJack Horseman is I just love the name of it so much that I want to see about it. And somebody on the Jeopardy writing staff loves that show because it comes up every month or so.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I'm so disappointed, man, because I turned it on. I just finished. I was hanging out with my buds, and we just finished Lego Masters. because I love Legos, and that show was very, very fun. But I have to like grit my teeth to get through anything that Will Arnett is in, because I already watched Arrested Development. I've met my quota, my Will Arnett quota. That's that.
Yeah.
And man, as soon as BoJack started to talk, I'm like, God. So, yeah, dude, I only made it about 4 minutes into the first one, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, no, I gotta find something else to watch. I'm not watching this bullshit. I will once my once my bullometer has gotten back to where I can tolerate him, then I'll go watch it. But I can't do it right now.
Need a break. Need a break.
That's bullshit.
That's cool, man.
Hell yeah.
That's what's up.
We do. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Hell yeah, man. I'll see y'all.
Take it
Bye.
easy.